Grade 6. Today we did turning some fractions into decimals, and to do that, one of the most efficient ways to do it is using long division. So we use kind of an example of maybe I got 11 out of 13 points on a quiz or a test that I did. How to figure out that as a decimal or as a percentage? Well, the most efficient way is to do long division, especially if we don't have a calculator, we're doing it by hand. And so what I do is I can take my numerator, and that becomes my dividend. So I'm going to put it down here, and I take my denominator, and that's going to become my divisor. So it's going to be actually 11 divided by 13. But in order to do this, I'm going to need to add some decimal places. So the first thing I do is after my 11, my whole number, I add a few zeros that act as placeholders and extra digits to work with. And then I use these 5 steps that we have over here for long division. How many in? Multiply, subtract, help, and repeat until the 100th column, or until finished. And I'll show you how that works. So I go to step 1 and ask myself, how many 13s go into 11? Well, in this case, 0. You can't fit 13 into 11. It's impossible. And so then I put my decimal straight above from where it was in my dividend. And I go on. I did the 1, there was 0. I did 11, there was 0. Now I can go on to 110. How many 13s go into 110? Well, I can use my math knowledge, and that tells me that if I do 13 times 10, that's going to be 130, right? So it can't be that. Let's try 9. Let's do guess and check strategy. 3 times 9 is 27, and that is going to be 9, plus 2 is 117. Darn it, it doesn't quite fit, does it? So I do it again. I reevaluate. 13 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And that's 104. That's a much more reasonable calculation. So I know that it's going to be 8. So I put my 8 above over here, the 110. And I do my multiplication. 8 times 13 is 104. And I subtract. That was my third step. I did how many? I did my multiply. I get into subtract. 110 minus 104. We can probably do that math in our heads. That leaves 6 left over. And this next one is help. So what I do is I call this 0 down for help. And it adds a whole nother value. And I go back and repeat from 5 back to 1. How many 13s in 60? Well, I know it's 15 times 4. So I'm going to see how close that'll get me. 13 times 4. And that's 12. 52. That's as close as I can get, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 4. 4 times 13, that was my multiply step, gives me 52. Next step, step 3 is to subtract. So I do my 60, subtract 52 is 8. And then I have help, but actually there's nothing left. And if you notice, in grade 6 math, we're going to stop at the 100th place most of the time. And so in that case, I put a remainder 8, because that's what's left over, but it's actually 84 hundredths, or 0.84, or we could put it as 84%. So on that quiz, you got 11 out of 13. You could tell your friends and your parents you got 84% on that quiz. I hope this video helps.